Champion Steve Curtis from Hampshire is still to make an appearance. He's concentrating rather more on his efforts on preparing for the international circuit.
Well, this is a Lamborghini V12 petrol motor, electronic fuel injected. It's got 12 cylinders, like I just said. It's probably the best petrol motor racing in Class 1 now. It's 8 litres and produces about 780 horsepower.
Now you throttle, what does that involve?
Well, what that involves is, well, basically you've got 3 people in the boat. You have a driver, a throttle man and a navigator. Obviously the navigator tells the driver where to go and the driver keeps it on course. A throttle man trims the boat, so gets the attitude of the boat very similar to a plane. And also, every time you jump out of the water, you've got to back off the throttles. Otherwise you tend to get an overrev situation and then you accelerate as you come back in.
It's a presumably a very skilled job.
Well, I don't know about skill. I mean, it takes experience more than anything, I think, that, you know, gets you where you are.
Well, you're the first British World Class 1 champion. How's sponsorship gone for you?
Sponsorship in this country hasn't been good. I've gone to Italy for most of my sponsors and France a few. I tried to get sponsorship in England, but you know, they didn't seem to respond very well. I think basically because of the TV coverage in Italy is very good, and it's just sort of building up now in England. So hopefully for next year I can maybe get an English sponsor.
So how much does it cost then to race one of these?
To do a season it costs around £1 million to £1.5 million. Depending on how big a scale you want to go to.
That's a lot. And do you get all that from sponsorship?
Yeah, this team's totally run on sponsorship, but we've got 14 sponsors for this team. So obviously that helps a lot. And we are the factory Lamborghini team, and that helps immensely as well.
The next event is an international one, the Poole Needles Trophy, which takes the fleet around Poole and Christchurch Bays and across to the Isle of Wight. It was the scene last year of the sport's worst tragedy, the deaths of ex-Grand Prix driver Didier Pironi and his 2-man crew. Before this year's event, a private moment of remembrance for the international drivers on the spot where Pironi's radical design monohull flipped over as he led the race.
This morning for us it was a moment to think about Didier, not to forget him, and we've done this not to forget that it was a great friend for us.
So, with safety very much in mind, every boat is subject to rigorous scrutineering.
And the flares. This is flares, yeah? Okay, you've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I think we've seen quite an incredible change around now in a lot of the safety aspects of the race. I think the safety side from the organisational point of view is much more sophisticated. The very fast boats, the big ones now, are running with canopy covers, very similar to the sort of covers you find on an aircraft. In fact, I think if you can see over there, we've got one here, Prima, which has built into it now cockpit covers, so that in the event of a boat actually turning over, yes, the drivers are now protected not only by crash helmets, but also by safety helmets and safety canopies.
Is this purely because of the Pironi accident?
I think the Pironi accident was certainly a contributing factor. There were canopies beforehand in existence, but the sophistication of canopies is now growing after the Pironi accident, and I'm certainly, yes, pretty sure that that was a contributing factor.
The Poole Needles Trophy is also part of the European Championship and draws top overseas competition, including Stefano Casiraghi, husband of Princess Caroline of Monaco. He races a diesel-powered catamaran. Steve Curtis carries out last-minute checks before preparing to defend his title in front of the home crowd.
John, what about all these big boats? What do you think of them?
Wonderful, aren't they? Wish I could have one.
Now, how do you feel just before the race?
Nervous. Yeah, a bit uptight this morning. I think it's going to be a bit lumpy out there today. But we'll do our best, keep going. I'm going to go for it. Go as hard as I can, but in all honesty, with the Italians and French, I've really got a lot of hope. But maybe they'll break, maybe I'll be lucky.
The Met men are forecasting strong winds in Poole with waves of up to 10 feet high off the Needles. Perfect conditions, though, for a latecomer to the British Championship.
It's our new Class 2 boat. It's based on our 39-foot standard production hull. but laid up in exotic materials. One off deck on there, 2 safe marathon engines. We might prove the hull can work at very high speed as well as a normal cruising speed.
What sort of boat is she though? Is she going to go very well?
It's mainly rough weather boat, but we're already getting speeds approaching 80 with our first set of props, so we're hoping to get into the 80s with it. So it'll be quite good for a Class 2 boat.
More than 60 boats leave Poole Harbour heading for the mustering area to await the starting boat officials. It's a rolling start with drivers waiting for the signal flag before the 100-mile challenge begins. Thousands of horsepower churn up the English Channel, trailing rooster tails of spray behind them. For the smaller boats, visibility is effectively zero. Driving is by instinct alone. Casiragi's catamaran is going well on the downwind leg, but heading into the wind from the Needles is a different story. John Davy is back, having missed the last 2 events, but later has to pull out with engine trouble. For once, the British Championship leader looks as if he too is out of the race. As indeed is John Yeoman. Also coming back are Mike Standring and Paddy Barker. Their hopes for the championship are wrecked. Only one of the smaller catamarans remains, but hotelier Andrew Chambers, driving Black Flash, has to fight every wave to keep going.
We've had a very rough season this year. Today we've had a very rough race, especially offshore around the Needles, and very big holes there. And we've run 4th behind 3 very large monos, and well in front of all the other multi-hulls. So for a little boat, we've done quite well, considering.
So why do you do it?
I don't know, you've got to waste your money on something, haven't you?
The eventual winner of the race is the monohull owned and driven by the wealthy Italian Edoardo Poli.
It was a good race. Sea conditions were very good for us, I think. It's a little bit rough, especially with the head seas coming back from the Needles to Poole.
So what attracts you to powerboat racing?
The boats, the speed, the sea. I love the sea very much. So I think the sea, the love for the sea would be maybe the first attraction, and engines and the speed would be very good components.
Foley the winner and the 4 British Championship finishers led by world champion Steve Curtis. And the only change to the British Championship, John Yeoman moves to 3rd.